You're listening to Dairy Voice by Dairy Business News, a podcast exclusively for the dairy industry.
One of our sponsors of the Dairy Voice podcast is National DHIA. NDHIA ensures information accuracy and represents their members' interests. They are the direct voice for the dairy information industry. To find out more, go to dhia.org.
If you raise calves, you know you can't prevent stress, but you can give your calves the boost they need to rise above challenging conditions. Nurture Boost is a uniquely formulated feed additive that supports calf lung health and enhances overall immunity to elevate your calves' ability to withstand stress. Boost your calves for better performance at boostyourcalves.com.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are in your day, welcome to the Dairy Voice podcast by Dairy Business News. I'm your host, Connie Kuber with Sealpro Silage Barrier Films by ConnorAgriscience. Thanks for joining us today. Please like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your friends. Dairy Voice covers a lot of ground, and we talk about all kinds of topics in dairy farming, so please check out our past episodes too. We're recording this episode in mid-May, and I was just at the California Animal Nutrition Conference last week in Visalia, California. Dr. John Robison, a friend of mine, gave a compelling talk on feeding calves, colostrum quality and quantity, and the importance of feeding healthy, clean milk throughout the calves' first days. So I am primed and ready to talk about calf care with my guests from Merck Animal Health. Today we have with us Brandt Kreuscher, who is the Dairy Business Development Manager for North America, and he is from Belle Vista, Arkansas. And Erica Tessmann is the Marketing Manager for Dairy Monitoring, and she is out of Lenexa, Kansas. So welcome, Brandt and Erica, to the Dairy Voice podcast. Let's start by having the two of you introduce yourselves to our friends.
Thank you very much, Connie. As you mentioned, I'm Erica Tessmann. I manage all of the marketing and products for dairy monitoring technology at Merck Animal Health. And some of you might know this technology as SCR. We have recently changed our name from SCR to SENSEHUB, and through the years, we have also been acquired by Merck Animal Health. And I've been here through it all. I joined this organization in 2017 with just one other job out of college first. I joined at a really phenomenal time when dairy monitoring technology was just starting to be adopted into the dairy herd management of operations across the US. And so I've been able to see it completely transform people's dairies because they took the data that they were getting from their cows and they were able to make really impactful decisions with that data every single day. And that's what really keeps me coming back to work every day is we're able to provide a tool that helps people be better. They want to be better. And that is really exciting to see every single day with our customers and our producers.
Connie, thank you very much for having us. My name is Brandt Kreuscher, and I am the Dairy Business Development Manager for the All-Flex identification brand and the SENSEHUB monitoring in North America. My background, you mentioned I live in Bella Vista, Arkansas. I'm a transplant here. I spent most of my life in California, worked at UC Davis, worked at UW-Madison, and have had just a really, really incredible experience in the dairy industry. My passion is implementing technology solutions to improve dairy efficiency. This started really with dairy management software and implementing RFID into dairy management software some years ago. And it spun off into the dairy monitoring, which is, I think, the next thing is going to seismically change. Actually already has changed how we do business in our industry. And so we're excited here to talk about the latest edition. So SENSEHUB Dairy Youngstock is the first application that can monitor calves from birth onward. And this application is designed specifically for individually housed calves that are suckling. So they have to be bottle or nipple fed in some fashion, individually housed from birth to weaning. And then it follows these calves on from weaning to breeding age, at which time rhythm changes again. Then we can use it for heat detection in heifers and onward into cows. It's the same tag with different applications of software that are deployed on that tag based on the animal's age and location.
Successful dairy professionals get it. Optimizing feed efficiency is key to optimizing milk production, and that's especially important when margins are tight. What you put into your herd's ration is essential to the performance you see later. That starts with fermentation in the rumen, which supports increased milk production and milk component yield. Talk to your Purina representative today about adding Purina Animal Nutrition's Efficiency Fermentation product to your herd's ration.
So let's start out on a positive note with what have farmers done right in raising calves?
If you look at our industry, dairy calves, we've done a couple of things really well. One is we've gotten really, really good at reducing calf mortality. And I think that's not an insignificant thing. We've really learned how to keep calves out, through weaning and grow them. I think we've done a really fair job on that. I think we've learned more and more, as you indicated at the opening, we've learned more about nutrition, and we still learn about nutrition on the calf side. I think we've also seen a tremendous change in how we raise replacements in the industry. So the onset of sex semen and genomics have really changed the stakes for how we raise calves. So the genetic potential of the heifer replacements that we're raising in our industry now are seismically different than they were in the past. So I think we've made great progress in those areas.
What are the top fixable challenges in calf management that you foresee?
So one of the things that I think we have seen as a fixable challenge in calf management, and we can kind of see that with just how calves are raised in general. So one thing that I think is pretty transparent and realistic is if we can't commit to raising a calf really well or a group of calves really well, then we should really make a decision on to do that really well, right? So either we don't do it on our own farm and we send those calves where they can be taken care of really well, and then they can come back when they're confirmed pregnant heifers and they can kind of go on into their productive life. I think that we've done a good job to kind of just understand that it could be challenging, and that's something that we can't ignore. The kind of early calf management, we can't ignore how important that is in her life. Piggybacking on some of the earlier comments we've made in this episode is there's always going to be room for improvement in calf health and nutrition. There's always going to be room for improvement on providing a good environment for them to grow up in, right? Thankfully, we're here to talk about one of the really greatest and latest innovations in understanding calf health, what that looks like, and how to fine-tune that process just a bit better on the farm.
And fixable things we can do or challenges that we face, right? And I think that's to dovetail into what Erica brought up. If we think about the task of rearing calves and managing calf health, it is an amazing skill set that we ask people to deliver every day. And so if I were to say to you, what I want you to do is look at your family members every day for about 6 seconds. And in that 6 seconds a day, I want you to tell me which one isn't feeling well. And at the same time, I told your family members, imagine you've been selected for thousands of years to hide when you're sick. Everything you can to not be apparently sick when this person looks at you. That's really what we're doing when we're raising calves. So it's a gigantic task to make that skill set as impactful as it can be. And the only way to do that is to try and highlight the calves that really do need attention, so we can objectively put those calves in a group and say, these are the calves that skill set needs to impact.
California Bioenergy is a leading developer of dairy digesters in America. With more than 100 projects, over 50 of them operational, CalBio has the expertise to help your dairy generate revenue by capturing methane and creating renewable vehicle fuels. Founded by a dairy farmer, CalBio considers itself the most dairy-focused digester developer, building systems to last generations, along with your existing family-owned operation. Now expanding with its subsidiaries, Northwest, Midwest, and Southwest Bioenergy, CalBio is ready to serve you. To learn more about how a CalBio digester could benefit your dairy, manure, and wallet, visit them at calbioenergy.com.
So I'm going to be a grandmother in September for the first time, and I'm just now learning about all the monitoring systems that we have for human babies. Tell me about the monitoring system that you have that works into your comment, Brandt, that we can be watching these calves and observing what they're doing without having to be looking at them in person.
I think Brandt really just mentioned this before. Cows in general and calves in general, they're not going to tell us until something is already wrong that they're feeling a little off today. And so they're going to hide their symptoms until it's absolutely to the point where we're going to see something visible to intervene. And something that this technology just brings in a complete objective viewpoint on every single animal in the calf group and the cow group. What it really does is it says, okay, she's feeling okay today. And in this case, then on the calf, then the LED light is not blinking. If she's feeling off today, that LED light will be blinking. And what that does is it says, okay, whoever's going to be managing calves today, you need to focus on these calves where the lights are blinking. That does not replace the person. It does not replace the need to make any decision or action off of that LED light blinking. But what it does is it says, focus here today. The tag itself is applied at birth. That's the best case scenario. So you're not really even missing a day of when they could be feeling off or on. And we think that the value that brings to the people that are really managing the calves every single day, they're being more proactive. They're able to be more proactive than reactive.
So Brandt, what can you tell me about this new technology and what exactly are we talking about? Oh, you're holding up a flashing light. See it in your mind. It's a flashing light on a tag.
What we've done is we've taken the same monitoring that we use in dairy cattle, and it's essentially the same tag. There's no difference, but the math, the algorithms that tell us about the animal are entirely different. What we do is we spend a lot of time studying calves, understanding what we were seeing with the ear tag. We interpret motion into animal, but what we call cow states or animal states. We dissect the motion into multiple behaviors. Tag basically every 20 minutes says, okay, here are multiple blocks of data that in this window of time, in increments of minutes, this was the dominant behavior of this animal at that moment.
Okay.
So it could be eating, it could be drinking, it could be suckling, it could be all these different things. And we say for this block of time, this finite window, this was the behavior of that animal. Then every 20 minutes, every tag dumps that data back to a system. The system then looks at that individual animal and says, how does this compare to that animal's normal? So it's not compared to what we expect an animal to be. It's compared to what that animal's normal is. Given age, given the housing environment, all those sorts of things, we interpret what those behaviors are telling us about each individual calf. Then we ultimately turn around. I jokingly say, data is 0418 and information is my wife's birthday. They're very, very different things, right? So I can have tons of data, but if I can't make decisions with data, it's worthless. We take all those data and we put them into what we call a health index. And we made the health index so easy I could understand it. We said 100 is perfectly healthy. And in the case of a calf, if it goes below 40, either the calf or the tag are no longer with us. Basically, the lower the score, the more apt we are to say this calf is in a bucket with the calves that are not having a normal day. And we know pretty clearly what the cutoff is. Through trials and user experience, we know what number we look for. We say calves below this number, if you're going to start walking calves at 5 a.m. from 5 to 6:30, turn the LED light on the calves that are not having a normal day. Turn the light on.
Get your Sealpro silage barrier film today. Protect the seed, fertilizer, labor, and expensive inputs that you've invested in. Choose best-in-class Sealpro now in 3 different versions. Traditional 2-roll application, our new co-rolled application, and super simple and wildly successful 1-layer film, Sealpro 1. It's easy to buy, easy to use. Contractor covering? We'll work with them. Learn more at sealprosilage.com. That's SEALPRO silage.com. Family owned and operated for over 25 years. 559-779-5961. That's 559-779-5961. To be clear, this is not an ear tag. Is that correct?
It's an ear tag.
It is an ear tag.
Absolutely, it's an ear tag. Yep.
So it goes along with the identification tag.
Correct. So it's really a device. It's not an identification unit. It's a device assigned to the identification of the animal. Yep.
Okay. All right. Does it take temperatures and that kind of thing as well?
Temperature is a good indicator. Temperature is I guess the best way to explain this would be in the context of rumination, for example. So rumination cud chewing is a voluntary behavior. If you get the flu, the first thing you notice isn't an elevated body temperature. The first thing you notice is I just don't have the energy I normally have. I'm not hungry, those types of things. And if we were smart enough to say, we're just going to take it easy today and not push ourselves, there's a chance that we overcome the pathogenic disease, which is the flu. Temperature is a kind of what we see as a lagging indicator. We can see behavioral changes before elevated body temperature.
And using this monitor, and what's the name of it?
SENSEHUB.
SENSEHUB. Okay. Using this monitor then will help us check for movement, and because an animal will naturally take it easy as opposed to us. Is that what you're saying?
Right. And imagine trying to take temperatures on calves 2 or 3 times a day. We're monitoring 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So even if temperature were a better measure, we can't do it as often, which means ultimately we're always going to be behind.
Right. Okay. So this works for a calf management system. What other tools do you have as part of SENSEHUB that helps us manage?
Really from day one, let's just go back to the installation process and what to expect, right?
Okay.
It really is minimal, I would say, technology infrastructure requirements, a couple of things that are going to need power out where your calves are going to be in hutches. It's just an outlet, right? That's kind of all we need in order to plug in the controller to collect all this data on a consistent basis. And then once everybody has an ear tag, and they have to be born. So we really do recommend applying the monitoring ear tag at birth, along with all the other identification tags, whether that's visual ID, electronic ID, so that we're really starting to track behavior immediately. All of that data will be then collected and sent back. I always like to say the beep, beep, and boop, boop back to the computer system, where calf managers and herd managers can access this data as soon as it starts kind of flowing into the system from an app on their phone, app on their computer. And it does connect directly to, there has to take an action to connect it with a herd management software, but there are significant APIs. We're tracking the data on this calf, not from when she starts in her productive herd as a first lactation cow, but now as a first day calf. And so all of that data can then be held and stored depending on where they want to go. The customer wants to go with that monitoring. We're going to be with them every step of the way. So we want to make sure that there's confidence instilled with the customer from day one. Our team is going to be out there helping install, helping even train proper tag placement of that monitoring ear tag. Sometimes the ears on calves are a little small, so we want to make sure that everything is placed appropriately so that when they grow older, we have to minimize kind of that replacement, and then make sure that they're really confident so that as more calves are born, they know what to do. And then our team is going to be there either on farm at day one or at install, or virtual access kind of throughout the entire journey.
So the people who work with these calves, how do you train them? What ideas do you have for them?
It is so simple. From my perspective, it's so simple. See the light and check on that calf, and don't see the light and leave them be, and do whatever else you were going to do with that calf anyway. Whether that is you're vaccinating calves this day or you're feeding them multiple times a day, whatever. It's almost so simple that I think, at least in the first couple of weeks, we're trying to find something what are we missing? Really, then it's a good learning process more for ourselves than anything on instilling confidence in the decisions that we're making. We meaning the people on the farm, taking care of the calves, you are making the right decision, and then working with, what are we going to do then when the light comes on? That learning curve is different for everybody. It's different with every farm. But I think the big thing is having confidence in yourself to make the right decision, and then confidence that the technology is working.
These are the things that get me really excited when I know we're changing things in a way that it'll be difficult to look back and say, how did we do it before? When you look at the Merck Animal Health portfolio, we have a really, really strong vaccine line. We have a strong line of products to treat sick animals. The piece we really, as an industry, didn't have was the ability to objectively identify animals that really needed to be looked at. If you think about it, this is the first product that can identify animals from birth and say they're not having a normal day. It's a pretty amazing thing, and it does it incredibly well. So in a study that we completed, we found retrospectively, looking back at calves that were intensively observed, hundreds of calves, we found that we were 96% specific, which means that if we say this calf's having a normal day, we're pretty confident that it is. In the bucket of calves that are not having a normal day, if you pictured sickness and you said, I'm going to track most sickness, I'd say, well, an animal goes from, it's kind of a bell-shaped curve, right? It goes from cured to subclinical to clinical to perhaps acute, back to clinical, back to subclinical, back to cured. So in the bucket of animals that we say, look at these animals, they're going to follow somewhere on that bell curve. We still need the people on farm, the really capable people. We're trying to empower those really capable people to connect them with the animals that need that attention in a very objective, repeatable way. And that's where this gets huge from a management perspective. I say, well, I normally have this percentage of calves that are flagged, and that number goes up or down. That helps me as a manager understand what's going on with my calf program. Then add the benefit of saying, well, I don't need you to look at a paper list. I can turn lights on the calves that you need to look at whatever time you specify. And so it really is going to change how we do things dramatically. And it has so as an example, real quick, one of the early adopters, they bought the system, they put it in. I was flying home Friday night and I had a voicemail from one of our teams said, okay, the lights are coming on the calves. We don't know what to do. Give us a call. Saturday morning, I thought, all right, I better follow up on this. So I called them back and they said, oh, we figured it out. And I said, well, what did you figure out? They said, if the light comes on, look at the calf. I said, yes, exactly.
So what does a normal day using this technology look like for a calf manager?
I would say, at least to start, and there's somebody that just installed SENSEHUB Dairy Youngstock. I would recommend them approaching the next day just as they have approached all the days before. Let's just say we're 4 months in and all of the calves from 0 to 4 months have tags in them. You're still going to wake up every day and you're still going to have to feed the calves. That might be a really good time to put the LED lights on or go into the monitoring system, and everybody that's showing up on the health list, they're monitoring your tags, are going to start blinking while we're already out there doing something we were always doing anyway. Thinking of simple ways to integrate the visual aspect of the LED lights into the process that we've already established on the farm. And I think that if we think about it that way in incremental steps, then it's less of a barrier of entry, I would say. Depending on whatever's going on that day, we should always have health prevention protocols, whether that's calf vaccinations or cleaning of the hutches or whatever that is. And then the calves that we know have an LED light blinking, then we have to make a decision to go back and check those calves and say, okay, what's going on here? Whatever the dairy wants to do, as soon as the LED light comes on, they should work with their staff on site and the veterinarian on what is the appropriate steps to take. Because sometimes the appropriate step is to just let her check her in a day. She looks fine. When we can do that with 10% of the calves, or however 10 to 20, it doesn't matter, kind of however many are blinking that day, we know we have confidence that the calves that aren't blinking, we can leave them alone to be a calf. And then we can just really direct a lot of our effort and energy on the calves that really need our attention today. And I think the key to making this successful from the get-go is not stopping everything we've already been doing and changing everything, because it really is supposed to just enhance what you've already been doing this entire time and just give you, again, more of that objective information coming directly from the calves.
Question I always ask people is, if you have 1,000 calves, how certain are you that you found all the calves that needed attention today? And it goes back to that challenge of, well, the calf wants to look well, and we don't have all the time in the day to look at each calf, and the skill set required to find sick animals. Not everybody has it. I believe everybody wants to do a good job, but not everybody has that skill set. And so even finding the right people can be incredibly expensive just to get there. So here are the animals that we need to pay attention to. The rest is really the individuals, those really capable people. It's up to them to go ahead and follow through. The other piece is that because it's objective, we are going to be able to look back and say, did we make changes? Or this new person, they're out there diagnosing calves now. Are they doing it correctly? Do I see the same number, the percentage of calves that would normally be in the bucket of abnormal? Does that number go up or down with this new person? So it gives us this really clear insight into calf management that we've never had. And I think that you look at the amount of data on calves, it's not that we don't care. It's incredible. It's been incredibly difficult to really get those data.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really where this is going. We're going to have protocols and the ability to work with our tech services team and our Merck biopharma representatives to really advance calf health through protocols, and really a holistic approach is just going to be profound.
It sounds like there would be more confidence in just the whole program and the whole system by using this. What has been the response so far from dairy producers? Do you have any anecdotal stories you can tell us?
We heard a little bit of an anecdote from Brandt earlier on just kind of the phone calls that Brandt would get, or one of our team members would get, was, what are we doing? Like, the lights are on, what do we do? That's usually a really good sign that the technology is working and that the customer is seeing an opportunity to make a decision. So those anecdotes are kind of coming in pretty often, I would say, with our first-time users. And we expect that because, this is new. But one of the stories that I really love from one of our sites, early adopter sites, that has had the technology for over a year now, the calves have never looked better, and I'm able to manage my calves again alone, solo. There's just something so beautiful in the simple anecdote that has. And he knows that calves are going to become really good heifers and really good cows. And that's what we want for pretty much everybody that puts in this SENSEHUB Dairy Youngstock technology, right? We want you to be able to have control, and we want you to have really good replacements.
It's interesting you bring that up, because one of the early users said, well, we wanted to really understand how this could help the market. So it wasn't a trial to develop the product. It was a tell us what you think, be brutally honest. And he said, well, you're going to save me people if I can make this work. And I said, well, I don't know that we're going to save you people. He says, no, you don't understand. I have good people that I know they want to do a good job. They just can't find sick calves.
Mm-hmm.
So I can keep them if this works. Well, that's really an interesting perspective. They came back, multiple sites came back, and not all of them. Everybody has, ultimately, farm operation decides how they deploy labor and how they manage calves and all those things. None of that changes with our system. But independently, multiple sites said, this is interesting, because I see we go out and check calves in the morning, and we turn on lights from 6 to 8 a.m. Can we illuminate calves in the afternoon again? We've never checked calves in the afternoon because we don't have enough time to walk calves twice a day. But if you can illuminate the calves that are sick in the afternoon, we can go get a 12 to 14-hour jump on treatments.
Right.
By identifying those calves that got sick after 8 a.m. or started to show symptoms of being abnormal after 8 a.m. And so it's just, to me, it was really interesting that people generally didn't say, I'm going to save labor. What they said was, we're going to do a better job with the people that we have. And everybody's going to do it differently. Not everybody chooses the same path. Some people will decide, okay, we can reduce the number of people walking calves. I'm sure that will happen, but that's really the focus has been on how do we raise better calves, because probably the most expensive calf anybody raises is not the calf that they raise for 6 months and then the calf succumbs. It's the calf that survives to freshening, but it was compromised in the hutches.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the most expensive animals, and we can't even as an industry identify them right now.
How does the SENSEHUB Youngstock integrate with cow monitoring? Is this a tag for life, or do we switch them out, or how do we do that?
Ideally, there's many different options when a customer implements Youngstock on their calves with the SENSEHUB Dairy monitoring ear tag. There's many different routes that they can go. They can definitely keep that ear tag on the calf until 12 months or so of age. They can definitely try to keep it on throughout the entire lifespan of birth to whenever that ear tag decides to, or that cow decides to leave the herd. But what we're typically going to see is there's probably going to be a combination of monitoring ear tags on the young calves. We have a lot of customers that have collars on the cows still. whatever the farm wants, we're going to help them make sure that that happens. If they want to stick with the ear tags, we'll make sure that they stick with the ear tags. If they want to have collars on the cows for other infrastructure reasons, we have really phenomenal collar technology as well. There's plenty of options. We just have to really make sure that we understand what the goal of the dairy is, and then make sure that they're set up for success on, kind of expectations for managing the devices themselves. That is first and foremost the goal, is to make sure that we are supporting them in achieving what they want with the technology. The device, obviously the calves, we're not going to put a collar on a baby calf, so the ear tags are a must for the calves. From there, it's really whatever the dairy chooses.
But your point is exactly right. This is really up to the producer. The reality is we all intuitively know every single minute of an animal's life matters. There's nothing we do that doesn't have consequence, right? And so it could be the butterfly effect or not, but everything that we do has an impact on that animal. So every minute that we can monitor an animal and understand that impact is to our benefit. So we've closed the gap now. We're the only ones that have at birth monitoring. Yeah, right now, this product is for individually housed calves that are suckling. And that's a very, very important point to make, because there's a behavior that we look for specific to suckling calves. But we do actually indicate that this calf went into a suckling group by pen location or group location. And that tells the tag at the time the calf is enrolled in that group, this is a suckling calf. Look for that behavior based on age in conjunction with all the other animal behaviors. Mm-hmm. When the calf is moved out of the hutches or out of the individual housing to a non-suckling group, we would call that weaning at that point. And then the tag algorithms change again. The tag is being updated by the system to tell us what behaviors we should expect based on location and age. At 12 months, it transitions, this very same tag transitions to a heifer algorithm, and we can use it for heat detection in the heifers. And then clearly, as the animal springs and calves, then it goes into cow monitoring. But Erica's point that people want to use collars, they can cycle the tag back to newborn calves at any point.
And then that data would follow with her no matter what kind of monitoring system she has on her. Is that what you're saying?
That's a really, really good question and a hard one to answer. The short answer is, depending on the record keeping system, that may or may not be true.
Sure. Okay.
But
gotcha.
but we will monitor each animal in the segment of its life that it's in with regard to that population. So at birth, if the tag goes in the first few days, in 27 hours, we can find a calf that's abnormal. Kind of an amazing thing. And when a calf is moved out of the individual housing into group housing, again, all bets are off for about a day, but in 25 hours, we can find a calf that's not normal in the group.
Let's say that I have a calf that's got something going on and I check it because the light came on. Is there a place in the record keeping portion of this where I can make notes as to here's what I found, this is how I treated it, this is how I didn't treat it, this is what I did?
Most of our customers have dairy management software or record keeping systems that they use. We can, as Erica alluded to, we can push data to them. So we can say this animal had an abnormal day, and then they would record their treatments, their protocols, all those sorts of things in another system. Is the normal convention. We can do it in ours, but that's not really what we do.
I would think that this would be a technology that would be really important to research, because we're always wondering what the outcomes are of the treatments and of the methods that we're raising these calves, to see how it affects breeding age and milk production and meat production and culling and all that kind of thing. So I would think that this would be able to assist in tracking those kinds of animals.
I would say that we want to crawl, walk, run. This is a commercially driven product, and we know we can identify the calves that somebody should look at, and we monitor that number every day. We know what percentage of the calves that is. It's really, we need people to act in order to affect change. And that's the piece that I think once we tie in the broader Merck animal health team to really drive change forward, I can see a future where we're really going to look back at that and we're going to say, yeah, let's reevaluate what more can we do with this. But right now, this is a commercial production tool.
Connie, you bring up a really good idea. There's so much opportunity that this technology could bring to us. That's the beauty of it, right? Like it's brand new. It's been on the market commercially for about a month. As we continue to learn, we're going to continue to identify areas that we need to pay more attention to, whether that is in research, whether that is in just commercial operations, right? And that's the beauty of technology in general, is it opens up doors into things that we probably didn't have a doorknob to before. Definitely crawling, walking, running in terms of the research space. But I think even coming back to just the simplicity of the monitoring ear tag versus other kind of mechanisms, we're trying to let calves be calves as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to create a really healthy routine for them in their life as early on as possible. Mm-hmm. And with it being a monitoring ear tag, you're not putting unnecessary stress into that animal's life or an additional thing into their body, or, even just going through temps or ultrasounds or things. And not that those are bad at all. Those are definitely necessary for certain case scenarios. The simplicity of monitoring and behavior with a device in the ear, that's where we're going to start and just see the benefits of that on farm.
We've had a really good discussion today. We've talked about calf monitoring and this new product that Merck has called SENSEHUB Dairy Youngstock.
I would just like to say thank you for having us on. And to me, it's exciting to be part of something that is going to impact our industry so dramatically. So we look at cow monitoring, we look at RFID before that. And I look at what our industry has done, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it. So I want to thank you for having us.
I want to echo the thank you. Thank you very much for your time, Connie. Thank you to the audience for listening. If you made it to this point, appreciate you listening to this entire episode. I just want to speak the investment in the technology space and the investment in this industry is something that I'm very honored to be a part of this entire journey. I forgot to mention before that I didn't grow up on a dairy farm. I was brand new into the dairy industry about 7 years ago. Being able to be a part of this journey and the technology has made me so passionate about this industry, passionate about coming into the Youngstock space. So am I. And it's because we can just see the value that it can bring to producers, because ultimately their job is something that we take very, very seriously. And we're just excited to bring this to folks. If you want to learn more, I would highly recommend reaching out to a Merck Animal Health representative in your area, a SENSEHUB Dairy representative in your area, or you can go ahead and visit our website, www.sensehub-dairy.com. And there's a page on that section of our Merck Animal Health website that is dedicated to Youngstock. You can see some testimonials, you can see some more details about the product, and then you can fill out a website form and get in touch with us that way as well.
We've been talking to Merck Animal Health's Brandt Kreuscher, who is the Dairy Business Development Manager for North America, and Erica Tessmann, who is the Marketing Manager for Dairy Marketing, about their work in calf care and monitoring. I'm Connie Kuber with Sealpro Silage Barrier Film by ConnorAgriscience, and you've been listening to The Dairy Voice by Dairy Business News. Please subscribe, like, and share this podcast. As we enjoy summer and look to fall, stay safe out there, and we'll be talking again very soon.